Hello, folks. I am back to help with the assignments that are due this week. So, we're going to talk skills, we're going to talk tools, we're going to talk all of those beautiful things. So, this week, you're going to be reading our two short stories. You're going to be looking at some of the extra material provided by our librarians, and then you're going to complete two assignments for this week. One is an annotated bibliography that will help you get prepared and started on the fiction paper that is due next week. The other is a presentation in which you will basically be able to talk about a story. So let's go ahead and take a look at those fiction related assignments, starting with a preview of the paper, because that is going to be the basis for your annotated bibliography assignment. And in some ways, you may also utilize your presentation planning this week to create your paper as well. So I think going over that paper assignment first is going to be helpful. So let me go ahead and open the course. And there we are. And I'm going to open the assignment sheet for the paper first. So let's take a look at that. The fiction paper assignment, as you know by now, is due next week. And you are going to write an analysis of one of the stories from our course. The paper itself is going to be 3 full pages. That does not ever include the works cited page. And so you've really got two stories that we've read. There is a third story in the LibGuide, so if you really wanted to deal with that one, you could. I am not going to read this entire thing to you because you're going to have a link to it in the bibliography assignment. There is a link directly to this. And of course, you can also just go to next week and open this document for yourself if you want to take a look at it again. But this is going to give you the rundown of how to put together a literary analysis, starting with a thesis statement and what kind of things that you could be talking about. The literary analysis is going to deal with formal elements of the story, and you can pick and choose what you want to talk about. Some ideas here: theme, characterization, setting, symbolism, irony, tone, point of view, imagery. Both of the short stories have very interesting points of view and how the stories are told. So you might want to focus on that. And certainly, most people want to focus on characterization. So beyond that, you can pick and choose what other things that you would like to work on. For example, in Cat in the Rain, the cat itself can be talked about symbolically. And in the everyday use story, the quilt and the butter churn and the bench can all be talked about in terms of symbolism. So lots of great stuff that you can pick from there. You are also required to use some secondary sources. Now, you're only required to use 3 additional sources in the paper itself. And you will notice when we get to the bibliography assignment that I'm asking you to include more than that on your bibliography, because whenever we write using research, we always have to look at more research than we end up using. That's just kind of the way of the world. So you're going to have at least 3 sources. You can have more than that, but you're going to have at least 3 sources. This also gives you an idea of what to do in the body of the paper, and some reminders about MLA format with both in-text citations and a works cited page, what that looks like. And of course, I'm going to supply you with a sample for those as well. But anyway, it's got the overview here. And then it's got some helpful links to the MLA guide at the Purdue's Online Writing Lab. We also have links to our own library and the Writing Center, and then, of course, literature databases that are available through our library, which we'll look at here in a second. So, in order to get started on this paper, the first thing you're going to do, of course, is read all the stuff that's in the LibGuide, but you're also going to be creating the annotated bibliography. So let's go over that assignment next, and we will get started with the tools. So in the preliminary bibliography, you do need to have the story itself. You're going to have at least 6 to 7 what are considered secondary sources, so literary criticism, scholarly interpretations, and you can have 2 to 3 tertiary sources, which would be anything else like the author biographies, which are included in the LibGuide, as well as possibly looking at a website like SparkNotes to get kind of a breakdown. You won't be citing that kind of research necessarily in the paper, but I want you to take a look at it. It's going to help you to plan what you might want to cover in your paper. So you'll have 10 altogether, 10 sources. All of them will have a full MLA citation and a brief annotation, literally just 2 to 4 sentences. This is not, some massive thing. Just basically summarizing what it does and how you might use it in your paper. So it's kind of a note for you and for me, but kind of a note for you. Source types. Primary source is the literature itself. Secondary sources are literally people writing about that story. And a tertiary source is anything that provides background, overviews, things of that nature. We've got a reminder about the format and structure, and I've got a link to the sample MLA annotated bibliography, which we're going to open now and take a look at. This is a tool provided by the library, and I'm going to open it in Word. Separately, but this is what it looks like. So your annotated bibliography will look just like an MLA paper. You'll have your last name and page number at the top. You'll have your name, my name, ENC1102, and the due date. The title can just be annotated bibliography or fiction bibliography. Either one is fine. The entries will have the citation, and you don't have a new paragraph or anything. You just keep that hanging indent going, and you put the annotation right at the end of the citation. They will be in alphabetical order. Doesn't mean the primary source doesn't come first necessarily or anything like that, but this is what it will look like. So you will have the ability to save that on your own computer. If you are on the library's um, information page for MLA. In fact, I think we can get to it from our class. Let's go to MLA Basics. I think, do we have it at the bottom? Yes. Okay. So at the bottom of the MLA Basics page, you have all these handouts. So we are going to use the annotated bibliography MLA. Next week for the paper, here is the one that you want to use for the template for that. So I'm going to click on this, and it's going to allow me to open it in Word because I have Word installed on my computer. So let me go ahead and open it in Word itself and not just in the window. Okay. So in order to personalize this, everything is already set up for you. You can just go through and do the updates. So student's last name, I'm going to use one of my favorite current TV characters as my student. Don't make fun of me, but I love Bluey, Healer, except I can't spell it. Um, I'm not Professor Carlins. My my name is Pierce, of course, and we are in ENC 1102. And then this would be the due date. I'm just going to use today's date because I'm here, 2025. And then, of course, we will type over each of these. So in any case, when you highlight one of the entries, you will notice that they have hit enter at the end. It does look like they have hit enter at the end and then created a new little paragraph that's indented for the entry itself. So just use this as your template and it will keep you on the straight and narrow. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 entries already. You'll have 3 more, but I would just use this as your template. It's always available to you. So that's one tool. The other tool that you need to be aware of and reminded of is that in our LibGuide, we have an author biography, which would be considered tertiary sources. We also have links to critical analysis. These are all sources that come from the library. So I would, especially because you need to have 6 or 7 sources from the library that are criticism, use all of them. There's 5 of them right here. Look for a couple of other sources or websites that would cover this particular story, and voila, you've got it. So you don't have to do a lot of extra searching in the library. I will show you how to do that, but here's where you can get any of these. So I'm just going to pick one to open so you can see what it will look like. And this particular story, or this particular article, is in the Gale database. And so the cite button is up here. And I believe the citation is also provided. Yeah, citation is also provided at the end. So I'm just going to copy this. And I'm going to go back to the template. Oh, I don't think I was actually sharing the template. Oh, I am so sorry. Okay, well, now you'll be able to see what it looks like. Sorry, I was just talking about it randomly and didn't share it. Oh my gosh. Okay, so anyway, this is the template. I changed Bluey Healer. I put all this stuff on it. So you'll have to update your template, but I'm going to put the first citation in this first slot. So I'm going to paste, but I'm going to match the formatting. Oh, except it messed up one thing already. We need the first line on the left margin, all the way on the left margin. There we go. And we need the hanging indent. Okay, so if this was my citation, we're going to put the annotation below. And then I'm just going to put, this is my annotation. It's brilliant, isn't it? It's beautiful. Okay. So that's what it's going to look like. Now, this is probably going to move because this person's last name is Kennedy. And I would imagine some of the other sources are going to come before that alphabetically. You are able to sort on Microsoft Word if you so desire, or you can just manually do them. It's not that hard to do 10, but anyway, so that's what it will look like. Use the citation from the library, which is one of the benefits of using library resources. Now, let's say I've used up all the sources that are already there. So there's 5 sources. So the next thing I will probably want to do, and I can also, of course, use the sources that are tertiary from the biography and all of that stuff. Any of these would be considered tertiary sources. This one is going to be a website. So I'm going to open this because I'm going to show you a tool that I like to use for citing websites. So we're going to click on this and highlight it. And I'm going to go to scribber.com. Now, there are a ton of websites that will help you cite sources. I like Scribber because it doesn't have a lot of extra stuff on it. Some of the other ones have, you got to listen to an ad in order to get a citation. It's just a big old pain. So I'm going to recommend Scribber for you. We're going to go to the citation generator, and we do need to change because the only downside to Scribber is that their reference default is APA, which is great for a lot of your other classes, but we need MLA for this one. So we're going to change that over, save the changes, and then we've already copied the URL, so I can put it in here, and it's going to give me an MLA citation. You will see it right here. You will notice that this does not have an author, and that's fine. We don't put no author. We don't put anything else. We just copy this the way it is. We're going to go back to the annotated bibliography. And again, I'm going to use the second one here. This is again probably going to change order at the end, but let's use it as it is. Okay, and then we have then a place for the annotation below. Okay, out of just an abundance of caution, I will warn you that when you alphabetize, you do not count the, but you do count Hemingway. So you do want to alphabetize by whatever comes first in your annotated bibliography. Just a reminder if you have forgotten from previous times. So you will do all of that again and again and again. You may end up doing some Googling to find some additional sources. So let's go to Google. and I'm going to put in criticism and Hemingway and in parentheses, cat in the rain. So one of the things you want to make sure when you are searching online is that you're not just getting, what some Joe Schmo said about it in his basement, but you're looking at things that are real, honest to goodness sources. So this one looks kind of interesting, feminism and Marxism in Cat in the Rain. So let's click on this. This is again just on an open website, which is fine, but it's still, an interesting source. So I'm going to do the same thing I just did, and I'm going to go back to Scribber, and I'm going to do that process again. It's still MLA, so I don't have to change that. And click the Cite button. There we go. We have an author, we have a title, we have the website, we have all the information. Copy to clipboard. And let's put that in the third slot, which is going to be right here. One thing you might notice is that all of the entries for in the templates right now still have the accessed on date, and you may notice that we don't get an accessed on date anymore when we are using a current resource. So if you still have access date on it because you're going by what's on the library's, template, nothing bad's going to happen to you, but you don't need it. Even in the one from oh no, it does have it here in the one from the library. So keep that if it's there. But if you're using Scribber and it doesn't have an accessed on date, you don't have to make one up or you don't have to include one. Okay, so searching in the library, utilizing the templates in the library, these are things that are going to help with the completion of the annotated bibliography. The other assignment that you have this week to think about is your first presentation. So let's go ahead and take a look at that as well. Now, with the presentations, I have made using a visual optional. I would love it if you do have a slideshow, but if you don't have a slideshow, it's okay. Nothing horrible is going to happen to you. In this assignment, I have extensive information about how to accomplish sharing your video. So there's a couple of different options. One is to use Kaltura, which is embedded in Canvas. The other, of course, is what I am doing right now, which is using Zoom. And so I've got information about how to do that as well. So you'll be creating a presentation. You will be on screen. You may or may not use a PowerPoint. So if you were using a PowerPoint, I'm going to share one more item. And I'm just going to open a random PowerPoint because I didn't create anything new for this. So let me just find one and I'll reshare so that you can see it. Let's use this one. You also do not have to use PowerPoint. If you prefer and you want to use Google Slides or something like that, you certainly can. I've been doing a lot more with Google products lately, just because of convenience. So it is certainly a possibility. But if you are in Zoom and you are sharing your PowerPoint and you share your slideshow, this is what it will look like. And you can go through your whole slideshow and do your whole presentation and be brilliant. If you need more technical help than what I have given you in this video, please reach out. I am happy to help. All right. The presentation, think of it as something fun. It's a 5 to 10 minute discussion of a story. And really, again, it's kind of pre-planning for your paper. So you're already doing the research, putting that stuff together, put your interpretation together, put it in a video form, and you are good to go. But if you have questions, do reach out. Take care, everybody. Thanks for listening.